David believed that his walk with God will translate to progress in life. That David was proper progos. You know what they call pro? When Jesus was walking on the water and Peter saw him, he said, if it is you, bid me come. Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water. And this is what Jesus responded. What did Jesus say? He said, it is I, come, right? Now, the word it is I in the Greek is actually ego eimi, all right? In the Greek. And that word actually means I am. That was actually the transliteration of what God said to Moses in Exodus chapter 3 verse 14. Come on, are you getting what I'm saying? So God is making a distinction. Moses, by the power of God, parted the ocean. But I am the very voice that Moses heard in the burning bush. Peter said, if it is you, ask me to come. And he said, I am. It was specific. The Jews understood it. Listen, the moment Jesus got on the boat, this was the first time that the disciples worshipped him as the Son of God. That was the first time they used that phrase for him, Son of God. Because he walked on water to reveal himself, to reveal his glory to them. Come on, are you getting what I'm saying? That's why he walked on water. Are you ready for something else? You see, what I'm about to show you, I talked about it in passing 2 reboot camps ago. All right? Let's see if you can remember. Mark chapter 6 verse 48. But there is another dimension to this that you must understand. Mark chapter 6 verse 48. In Mark chapter 6 verse 48, it says, then he saw them straining at rowing. So Jesus is walking on water and he sees them trying to survive, trying to get the boat afloat. All right? It says, for the wind was against them. Now, about the 4th watch of the night, he came to them walking on the sea and would have passed by them. I already told you why. I might touch on this later. But again, this should catch your attention. Because when God was going to reveal himself to Moses, he kept him in the cleft of the rock and passed by. Are you listening to this? So Jesus is walking on water to reveal his glory to the disciples. Amen, somebody. But again, the title of the sermon is not Jesus walked on water. The title of the sermon is that you will walk on water. That's what we're talking about. And that's another major differentiation between Moses and all the prophets of the Old Testament and Jesus. Because you see, in all the other instances, Moses and Joshua, they were beneficiaries of the miracle, but they did not participate in it. Moses parted the ocean and dry land appeared. It was natural what the children of Israel did. God had worked a miracle. Now there was a way of escape. Are you getting what I'm saying? But in the New Testament, there is a challenge, an invitation to do what God does. Are you listening to me? The same ideology, you find it in Mark 11:23. Have faith in God. If you say to this mountain, don't relegate it to something God alone can do. You are impressed that Jesus spoke to the fig tree and it dried up. You also can do same. In Jesus' ministry, you see an invitation to the supernatural. Don't just say, stay and spectate and say, God is powerful, he can do all things. Yeah, because God is powerful, there'll be evidence in your life. And so the God of the Bible is walking on water. And Peter said, can I join you? And he says, come. Come. Walk on water. Now, this is where the struggle begins. Because believe me sincerely, a lot of Christians have no problem believing that God can do all things. In fact, it's easy peasy for them. Of course, you walk on water, He's God. But the challenge that you must be faced with, and the challenge that will actually make you change the world with the power of God, is that He's now beckoning to you to come. Don't just watch me walking on water. I'm inviting you to come. I want you to see my power in your life. I want you to see my help in your life. That the very thing drowning others can now be your platform to the next level. Come on, I get what I'm saying. The very thing drowning others can be your platform. You can step on it. The thing killing others, you step on it without consequence. Come on, are you listening to me? Now, this is the difference. Believe me, a lot of Christians struggle with it. You can be a church goer and struggle with this. Now, listen. Let's talk facts now. Are you ready? Even in that story, when Jesus was coming, at first, they thought it was a ghost. Have you read that before? They began to scream that it was a ghost. Jesus had to say, hey, peace, it is me. These are Jews. They know the miraculous working power of God. But even Jews, when they see such a thing, they will first think it is the devil. See, let me tell you something. A lot of church people, if they see someone demonstrate raw power, their first mind is that they went to get power somewhere. You see, we come to church, we act like we believe in power gifts, but there is something about us that accommodates the possibility of negative spirituality more than the willingness of God to demonstrate it in His children. Let me give you one practical example and see if you'll be honest to admit it. If you were walking on the road and you saw a shrine, what will you do? I'll tell you what most of us will do. You cross to the other side. There are some things you don't do except the Lord gives you a specific instruction. Isn't that true? You don't do it. Some of you, even if the Lord tells you, you go and think about it and pray about it well. Just cross. Listen, it doesn't even have to be a full-blown shrine. Let them just tie red cloth somewhere. Maybe in those days, you were plucking mango. Then you just looked again, you saw red cloth. You avoid it instantly. Because you believe, even if you're a Christian, that there are places you won't go to without consequence except by the mercy of God. But not many of you stepped into this place with that same consciousness. Not many of you, as you were entering church today, thought, the gathering of the saints, the fellowship of believers, my life is about to change. Not many of you thought that way. You see what I'm saying? So, it is something we must confront. How that subconsciously, even those of us who shout power, the power of God, you tend to believe it more. If a man ties red wrapper on his waist with chalk and he points his hand towards you and says some negative word, you may not sleep in the night. But if your pastor says you are blessed, or let me even put pastor aside, you read it in the word. Are you getting the problem now? So now they see somebody walking on water and their mind immediately goes to ghosts. Let me tell you something. I believe that denominations exist as a reflection of spiritual trauma. People very often choose church as a reflection of what they are running away from. So for instance, when you see people who grew in a church that just glorified poverty and didn't really emphasize God working through your mind and through your hands, productive labor for you to contribute to society and all of that. When people come out from there, they now tend to go to the other extreme. Extreme prosperity gospel. People, all they do is preach money. There are some churches, I wonder. Let me just say this. Nobody who is truly wealthy will brandish money the way some people do. When some people are flamboyant, excessively flamboyant, it is scarcity mentality. More often than not, it has not been long they were poor. And so, it's actually a reflection of trauma. And you can see it even on the pulpit. On the pulpit. Childish behavior. Childish behavior. The things you talk about, the things you glorify constantly. Things that people who are not even sanctified, who don't even know Jesus, have more, 10 times. And you think they will take you seriously. In fact, sometimes we thought you were bigger until you shared the testimony. When you share testimony that you entered first class, that you flew first class. Believe me, in case you don't know, some people will never take you seriously in this life. That's it. Oh, that's the sign that God is good in your life. You know, there's one of us that is a pilot. The family that she flies, they use 2 private jets. So because they think it's too much risk for all of them to be in one, so they fly 2. You are carnal. Why did your keyboard go louder there? The thing is blessing him. You go calm down. Calm down. Like every time they are traveling, it's too much risk for father, mother, children to be in one, so they spread it. Come on, are you listening to me? But listen, there is another extreme. Some people who are now irritated by that now go to another extreme and say spirituality has nothing to do with anything material. You see, God doesn't care whether you are poor or rich. Listen, you have to create another Bible to preach that one. This same Bible. Have you read the book of Psalms? David believed that his walk with God will translate to progress in life. David was proper progos. You know what they call pro? You're reading a book The second book in that library of books, the Bible, people are in slavery. God shows up, brings them out of slavery, and takes them to a land flowing with milk and honey. Are you getting what I'm saying? Now listen, what the children of Israel were saying sounded like consecration. That leave us in Egypt, we are content with locust and honey. It sounded like consecration. It sounded like contentment. Are you listening to me? And God said, I want to take you to a land. See, not just do I want to help you escape, to a land flowing with milk and honey. I want to demonstrate my goodness in your life. And not just that, when he brought them to a land flowing with milk and honey, he now told them, listen, if you continue to follow me, you will experience prosperity. You shall remember the Lord your God. It is he that gives you power to get wealth. And then he told them that if you turn away from me, this will be the consequences. You're going to experience sickness and poverty. And when they turned away from him, listen, that is the summary of the entire Old Testament. How they found themselves in Babylon, how different countries came and plundered them. Listen, the entire Old Testament is littered with evidence that when you face God or you turn away from God, there will be consequences. If you think otherwise, you will need another holy book.